All right, so we're going to be starting a new 4-day activity project that we're going to be doing over the next 4 days, starting today on Friday, hopefully, if you guys are still on schedule. Okay, so you're going to need your sketchbook. Okay, and then you're going to need some markers in a variety of different colors. Okay, and then you're also going to need an object to draw. So I'm going to elaborate on each of those for just a second. I do have a pencil, but I'm not going to use it. So just set it aside. You don't need it. I'm probably just going to use these Crayola markers that are totally fine. Actually, they're my favorite because they have the cone tip, so I can get a variety of different lines and marks. I know a couple times in class, we've talked about people who have Copic markers, and I happen to be home right now. And I don't use Copic markers because frankly, I think they're just too expensive. Hobby Lobby and Michaels both do make their own brand of Copic markers that are, like the Hobby Lobby brand. But if you're going to buy expensive markers, Prismacolor makes some, but honestly, I think they run out really quickly. This is a really cool brand called a Pro Marker by Winsor & Newton. And I like them because they have a fine tip on one side, okay? And then you can flip them, and on the other tip, they've got a nice chisel tip, which allows you to do some nice calligraphy work and stuff like that. I bought these off of Amazon, and you can see they come in a nice plastic case that snaps closed. A lot of my kids like to use these. These are permanent markers. So if you try to do the watercolor effect where you do washable markers and then put water on top, that won't work with these. But if you're going to buy quote unquote expensive artist markers, these are the ones that I personally recommend. But again, honestly, 95% of the time when I'm drawing with markers, I'm using just plain old washable Crayolas. Okay. At home kids, you should have gotten a bag of variety of markers. You also, though, if you didn't want to use markers, you could use colored pencils, okay, or colored pens, or even oil pastels, but you've got to have at least 3 different colors, okay? I actually have more than that. Those are the ones that I have, but I've got a whole little pack here, okay? Now, we're going to be drawing an object from direct observation, okay? So remember, a direct observation is very similar to a still life, okay? But it's not exactly the same. A direct observation, just to remind you, means that you actually physically have the object in front of you, okay? So I'm not going on my phone, and going to the internet and looking up a picture of something on Google. Oops, apparently I don't know my own password. I'm not looking up a picture on Google, okay? The key here is that if you don't choose an interesting or good object, the activity that we're doing today is going to kind of be null and void, and that's going to be reflected in your grade. So, for example, a coffee mug, right? It's not that interesting of an object. If I cut the handle off, essentially the only shape that I have going on this coffee mug is a cylinder, which, is essentially a oval, 2 lines, and a curved line, okay? Then I come back and add the handle, okay? Not that interesting of an object, not that difficult to draw. This is not VA Comp, this is not middle school, okay? Same concept. Oh, I'm gonna draw my phone, okay? Well, your phone is essentially a rectangle, okay? And the only difference is that rectangle has curved edges and probably a little button right here and a screen, okay? These objects, their shape or their contour are too simple. So I need you to avoid the following geometric forms, okay? Cylinders, all right, cubes or rectangular prisms, okay? Spheres, so we're not going to be drawing any balls like basketballs, all right? Because a sphere is essentially a circle, okay? Yes, you do have to shade it to get it to look like a sphere, but this particular drawing that we're going to be doing for this assignment is going to be a line drawing. So there actually isn't going to be that much shading. So you want to pick an object that has an interesting form or shape to it. So avoid something that's like a plain circle or a plain triangle or a plain box, okay? What would I recommend then that you choose? I would recommend something that has a shape that you can't describe. For example, a shoe, okay? This isn't a cylinder, all right? It's got, and actually these are the shoes I wore when I got married, and Lord knows I'm never gonna put on heels again now that I'm pregnant. All right, there goes my dog. You know, it's got a curve here, it's got a stick that comes out of the bottom, it's got little wraps and things like that, okay? You could also, I know a lot of y'all probably have some athletic shoes you really like. Miss Walker, I don't get into the paying money for the Jordans and all that other stuff, but these are the shoes that I wear when I run. You could do something like this, okay? Another good option is a house plant, if you've got like a house plant, because then you've got all these different pieces that come out, especially if it has a pretty pot, although this pot is not quite a cylinder, but it's similar, okay? Not a good example, a candle, right? This is still a cylinder. So if you are in person, I have the whole still life shelf that you guys can look at that's got glass objects, clay objects, metal objects, there's lanterns, there's flowers, there's all types of stuff. You could also use something in your book bag, or you could literally just take your shoe off your foot and put it on your table. If you're at home, you might want to go into like your kitchen and maybe get like a cool glass or a vase, or go into your closet and get like some shoes, or maybe your little brother's room or little sister's room and get a toy, something that has an interesting shape to it that's not plain and simple. Okay, so I'm going to let Miss TG pause the video for a second and give you guys a few minutes to get all of those materials, which again, they are, let me write it down for you. Okay, you're going to need at least 3 different colors of markers or colored pencils or any other drawing material. Then you're going to need your sketchbook. Okay, and then you're going to need an interesting object. Okay, so I'll meet you guys back here in just a second. So hopefully now you all have all of your materials. I'm just going to draw this shoe because why not? All right, and so I have it set on my table. You guys probably can't see it except for maybe the little tip of it right here, but I've got it set where I can put it directly in my eye view. Because this is kind of a wide shoe like this, I did take my sketchbook, and instead of drawing vertically, I'm turning my sketchbook to the side. That way I can maximize, because the bigger that I draw here, the better and the easier that it's going to be, okay? So what we are going to be working on essentially is I'm having you work with markers or colored pencils, because unlike with a pencil, okay, when I work with a marker, number one, I cannot erase. Okay, and I'm focusing on getting you guys to improve the confidence, I think is the best way to describe it, of your mark making. Okay, because a lot of times when I watch you guys draw, okay, so please don't do this, please just watch. Okay, y'all get out your pencils, and first of all, y'all all use mechanical pencils, even though I tell you not to. Of course, my camera always decides to go out of focus when I'm demonstrating. Or when I'm recording. Come on, hold on. So I restarted my camera. I think we're a little bit better in focus. Okay. A lot of times when I watch you guys draw, you know, you stick to these mechanical pencils and you tend to draw right in the middle of your sketchbook in this section right here and leave all of this empty space. And then you come in and you do these very small marks. Usually what's interesting is y'all do them really, really dark, which is funny to me, because if you erase, the darker that you draw, the harder it is to erase. But I'll watch y'all, like I'm drawing the heel of this shoe right now. And I'll watch y'all spend 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. And usually about right here, you realize you don't like it. So you've already stopped and erased. Then you're coming back and drawing another line that's very similar to the old line that you had. Okay, then you're erasing again, and you'll spend 20 minutes just getting a basic outline of the shoe, which, you know, granted, of course, I've been drawing for a long time. If I just kind of go like this, and put a little thing right here, I can get this whole shoe outlined and not really that long. Okay, it really doesn't take that long. And then ta-da, you know, here's my shoe. And I know that it's a little short over here, which we're going to talk about. All right, so what I'm trying to do is to force you guys to get out of this slow mark making sketching technique and to get you guys to make lines that are more fluid. And I know that that's very difficult to see because this room is really bright and my camera sucks. All right, so turn to a new page. Okay, I want you to start with your lightest color. So, you know, if I was doing these three colors, it would probably be like the green. Okay, if I was doing these three colors, it'd probably be like the yellow. It doesn't really matter. Okay, and I'm going to ask you to draw as fast as you can, not worrying at all if you make any mistakes. Okay, if you make a mistake, it's there, it's in marker, you cannot erase it. Okay, so if you make a mistake, just keep going. But the emphasis here is you don't have time, because I'm going to be setting a timer, to draw a line this slow. You are going to have to draw a line fast and make your hand move across the paper. Okay, so I'm going to show y'all, I'm going to set my timer. Okay, for actually, I can do seconds. Okay, so let's say I'm going to give myself 45 seconds. So I'm going to show you what to do and what not to do. So right now, I just want you guys to watch me draw. I've got my timer set on 45 seconds and go. And sorry, I know I'm breathing probably heavier than I should be. That's what happens when you're pregnant. Okay, and my timer went off, which I'm going to turn it off now. Okay, in that time, I got a very messy kind of sort of shoe-ish shape. Okay, if I look at the shoe, okay, you can, what's kind of funny is I actually almost got it the right size. It's actually a little bit too small. But if I look at the shoe, I can see like, yeah, I've got a heel. And you can look at the fact that like the first time I drew the heel, I had a line here, then I had a line here, then I had a line here, then I had a line here. So if you've taken drawing one with me, this should remind you a little bit of when we did figure drawing and we were doing gesture drawing, because it has the same kind of concept. Okay. All right. I'm going to go onto another paper really quick and show you guys what I don't want you to do, because this is what ends up happening a lot. So hold on just a second. I've got my clock set again. I'm going to switch to a darker marker just because that yellow isn't showing up very well. And maybe this green one will show up a little bit better in my video. Okay, here we go. Start. Okay, guys, what happened? All right, my timer went off and I'm not what? Okay, I'm not done drawing my shoe. Now, my lines are very clean. It almost reminds me a little bit of when you go to, I use this example a lot too when I'm teaching figure drawing, but like if you've ever watched like CSI or Forensic Files, and you see like there's been like a crime scene and they have a dead body, and they'll take the tape and they'll kind of outline the dead body like this, like, oh, this person jumped, fell off the roof, and you get this like very obscure controlled mark like this. Okay, the lines in this case are actually too clean. Okay, and because they are clean, they're actually losing a little bit of that organic, loose, I have control of my pencil marks. So if you were watching my hand when I was drawing this one, my hand was moving very quickly all over the whole paper. If I drew a bad line, I just drew another line over it, and it wasn't like that big of a deal. Okay, this one looks very much almost like a coloring book. Okay, you can see that if you watched, my marker was on the paper and my hand moved very slowly, and I got it. It's too much of an outline. That's another good way to describe it. Okay, so I want you to focus less on keeping your lines clean and outlining, and more on letting your pencil / marker / pen fly on the paper. Don't care at all if it's the right size or the right shape, because this is just step number 1 in the yellow. We're going to come back and do step number 2 and 3 with other colors. So at this point in time, I'm going to say, Ms. TG, you can probably pause the video and give the kids, make sure everyone's ready, and then either set a timer or look at the clock, and let's all try to get a 45-second drawing, and go. All right, so hopefully y'all have your first 45-second drawing done. Sorry about my dog. You're gonna hear him a lot on the days that I record from home. So I'll let you guys see him in a minute. I also put a book here, so I hope that's not distracting, because I had a lot of light from my window that was kind of whiting out my sketchbook, and I wanted to make sure y'all could see what I drew. Okay, so hopefully everyone has a step 1 that looks more like this and less like this. Okay, now we're going to we're going to transition to step number 2. So I'm going to put away whatever color marker / crayon / pen / color pencil that I was just using, and I'm going to get my next darkest color. It doesn't really matter, but you want to save your darkest color for last. So I'm going to use probably 3 colors in total. If you just want to kind of test, there's my green, which I just used, so I might actually switch to this one. And there's my red. Okay, I think I'm just going to use the red. Why not? Okay, so now what I'm going to do, okay, is I'm going to give myself not a lot more time, but a little bit more time to come back and draw on top of this. And this is going to become what I call an under sketch, okay? Meaning that it's here for me to reference, okay? But if there's something about it that I didn't do correctly, or that I don't like, or that I want to change, those are things that I'm going to do. Hold on one second. Sorry, my dog got into the trash can and was eating a Kleenex, so I had to yell at him. Sorry, guys. Okay, so where was I? We are going to spend a little bit longer. So for step 1, we had about 45 seconds. Okay, for step 2, we're going to take about 2 minutes. Okay, so with every step, we're going to be giving ourselves more time. So then step 3, we're going to be giving ourselves, quote unquote, even more time. Okay, so anything that I don't like about the yellow, I'm going to change in the 2 minutes that I have for step 2. Okay, will I be able to fix everything in 2 minutes? No, I won't. Okay, but I can at least start to do that, if that kind of sort of makes sense. So to give you guys a better understanding, I'm going to set my clock for 2 minutes, and I want you guys to watch me draw first so that you can get an idea, and then we'll pause the video and you guys can draw. Okay, so again, I'm going to open up my timer and I'm going to change it to 2 minutes. Okay, and 0 seconds. And I'm going to press start. Okay, so what I am looking for here is, you know, I want to make sure, like the first time I made the shoe a little bit too short. So I might be bringing the toe of the shoe out a little bit. Okay. And I'm not saying that you can't use gestural marks, but I'm just saying that you probably want to smooth things out a little bit. So maybe when I look at it this time, I think that the arch is more about like right there. And then I can see the heel there kind of comes down like this. And I'm hopefully trying to fix some of my lines, but also trying to draw in some of the detail that I may have missed when I only had 45 seconds. Like for example, here on the back of my shoe, okay, there's actually a little like plastic, I don't know if you want to call it a cork or what you want to call it. Like there's a little plastic piece on the bottom. And then from the angle that I'm looking at it, I can actually see, you know, another little piece of the inside of the heel there. So that might be something that I want to add in. There's also a little hook up here that has like where the band kind of comes through above the heel. And then there's the actual strap. That's what I mean by band. Okay, let's see. This strap comes this way. And it's going to go underneath another strap. It's going to go like that. Sorry. Yes, I am talking to myself, but that's kind of part of it. And then right here, the strap actually folds over. Okay. So then I'm going to have the bottom of the shoe or the heel of the shoe. I think it kind of goes like this. And then the bottom of the shoe has a little piece. Okay. Okay, so I took a little bit more time, okay, and you'll see that my timer's going off, and I didn't quite finish with the pink or with my second line on this one, but I started to, what's it's called? I started to kind of shape up and redefine my lines. So if you look at this up close, you can see where my original yellow lines were. And then you can see how I'm going off of those. But if there was anything that I needed to kind of correct or change, like this was my original bottom of my shoe here in yellow, and then I moved it over here in red, okay? And same kind of thing, my original back of my heel of my shoe was here, and I moved it over here to kind of clean it up a little bit and get the drawings more correct. I was taking the time on the strap here to try to show that the strap bends and folds. If you guys think about like a ribbon or a handle of a basket, something that kind of twists, sometimes you'll see one side of it like this, and then it twists and you see the other side of it, and then maybe it twists again, and you kind of see the other side of it. That's what I was kind of going for. And that would be something that I could emphasize too with some shading, which is going to make it look like it's wrapping. Okay, so I'm going to say 2 minutes. I'm going to kind of leave it up to y'all if you want to say 3, because this next process could take you a little bit longer. So step 2, you could do 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. I am going to actually set my timer for one more minute, just so I can finish, quote unquote, or give myself 1 more minute to do the red. Okay, so I'm still not going to get it totally done, but I wanted to get the lines marked in at least a little bit more than what I did. Okay, there's a buckle there, which I can draw in more detail later. There's a crisscross there, and then that kind of goes. You can kind of see the back of the shoe back here, because I can see the whole thing. So there's kind of the inside of the shoe. This comes up. I've got a little hook on the toe that goes like that. And then that kind of connects up to that a little bit-ish. I may have to fix that a little bit because it's not totally perfect, but that's what step number 3 is for. And then I have the toe of the shoe coming out here. So I didn't quite need a minute. This area right here, I'm going to have to work on and adjust because it's not correct. but that's going to be what I'm going to be doing in step 3 with my other color. All right. I didn't quite, that's hilarious. I didn't press start. So hopefully that was around a minute. Okay. So I never pressed start. All right. So I'm going to pause the video again, and Ms. TG can also pause the video, and y'all can decide if you want to set the timer for 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes. And you're going to do step 2 in your second color, and I'll meet you guys back here in a second. Okay. So hopefully y'all did your time. Okay. And now we're going to come in with our third and last color for today. Okay. And in this step, we're going to be kind of sort of really trying to make any of our final corrections. I can tell you right now, when I look at this drawing, especially down here, the toe just looks all types of warped, and it's not how I want it to look. So I'm definitely going to spend a lot of time here. I'm going to add any detail work, like for example, if you could, and these are, sorry, some of the stones fell off. I actually put that on there when I got married. But you know, like if you've got detail work like this, or if you want to try to quote draw the logo, or I've got, you know, the actual little buckle here, I've got the extra strap. If you want to put in any shading, all of that is going to get done in step number 3. Okay. So step number 3, you're going to get an extended period of time. Okay. And this is going to kind of sort of depend on how fast of an artist you are. Okay. But the maximum amount of time that you're going to get, because again, we are trying to learn how to draw quickly. Okay. And that's something that comes with practice, is a maximum of 15 minutes. Okay. You might finish before 15 minutes is over. All right. In this step though, I am going to allow you, okay, because see, in step number 1 and number 2, everything was kind of more like an outline. Okay. In this step, you can add some shading if you want. And that shading though, because you're using a non-erasable material like a marker or a pen, is going to kind of have to come in the form of mark making. So think back to VA Comp when you guys did stippling like this with Mr. Postel, or you did hatching like this, or you did cross hatching, you know, where they go in different directions, or you might have done some scumbling where you did some scribbling like this. Okay. Obviously too, you can, you know, use the side of your marker and color something in solid, but just be aware that when you color it in too solid, it's going to just look like a flat, you know, box or color. All right. So you might want to avoid that. Or if you were using colored pencils, you can, you know, do the shading like that, which you can kind of do with markers, but it doesn't quite look the same. Okay. This is optional. It just kind of depends on how fast you draw and how much time you have, but you're going to do a max of 15. Okay. So that's what I'm going to kind of be working on now, which I'm going to start, but I'm not going to make you guys watch me draw this shoe for 15 solid minutes. So I'm going to start it, then let you guys get started. And then I'll let you guys see what my shoe looks like when it gets finished. But just in terms of getting started, and I know that for some of you who are like OCD or really like your drawings to be neat or clean, this might be really hard for you. But one thing that's really important about being an artist is getting out of your comfort zone. Okay. And forcing yourself to do something, even if you don't like how it looks, or even if it feels uncomfortable to do it. So I really want to show you guys, excuse me, before y'all get started, how different these lines can look. And I don't want you to feel like that it's bad if your lines change this much. So this whole toe of this shoe is effed up. Sorry, for lack of a better word. This piece right here, I'm just looking at it and it's way skinnier and it comes out over here, and this strap comes up higher. So there's a lot of stuff that I've got to fix here. For example, this curve that I originally drew over here, the more and more I look at it, it's actually over here, like that. And then the point of the shoe is coming down. And then I'm getting kind of a curve, more like that right there. And then the shoe is kind of coming and turning. And it's got a little bit of a curve to it. I almost kind of want to bring it even more forward like that. So you can see my original yellow line was here. Then my red line was back here. Then my blue line was here. Okay. And yes, that red line is there now. It can't go anywhere. But guess what? That is okay. This is allowing me to see that in 3 different drawings, I'm changing and fixing things to make my art look how it's actually supposed to look. Okay. So now I'm going to kind of look at this and realize that it's supposed to be, I really feel like this crisscross is happening like all the way up here. And then I'm getting that, and that is connecting to this. Shoo, look at that. Looks totally different. But that's what I'm seeing when I look at this. And if that's what I'm seeing, then that's what I've got to draw. Then that crisscross is happening here. And this is a way bigger opening right there as this comes forward and down and around and meets with that. But you know, that's what I see. So that's what I'm going to make myself draw now. Then it's kind of opening up, coming to here. And this, I think, may actually be kind of coming down a little bit more on that angle. And yes, I am talking to myself, but sometimes that is the best way to, you know, make sure that you've got it looking how you want it to look. I don't know how many of y'all talk to yourself when you're drawing. Okay, most of y'all probably put in music, so you probably don't hear anything but your music, but you know, okay. Then I've got the soul, right? Then I'm just going to keep coming around, and anything that I see that needs to be changed, you know, this is my opportunity to do that. Okay. And so I'm just going to keep continuing to do this. All right. Sorry about, I don't know there's some reflection or something that's creating a flash there. Okay. Still think the toe could probably be elongated a little bit more. Okay. I'm going to keep working on this though. But I'm going to pause it so that you guys can do your 15 minutes, and then I'll let you guys see what mine kind of looks like when I'm done. All right. Good luck, guys. So I kind of just changed my mind. All right. Y'all can go ahead. I'm kind of crazy because I figured I'll just probably mute this part of the video. Y'all can set the timer and start drawing. And then this can just be in the background as something that you can watch, you know, whenever you need to, or whenever you want to, or maybe you don't feel like you have to watch it at all, just to get some ideas. Okay. So I'm going to actually leave it playing, or leave it recording, even though I said I wasn't going to. Y'all know I always change my mind. So, but instead of just watching me color right now, the goal is that you are actually doing yours right now. But because this is a YouTube video, you could technically, in theory, come back and watch it later. a little bit of a disconnect there, but it's okay. And again, I'm talking to myself. Sorry, guys. I tend to do that a lot. Okay, so I could keep going, but I actually think that that's a pretty decent representation. Okay, I used primarily hatching and a little bit of cross hatching to at least imply some of the colors in my shoe, because I was trying to show that the outside of my shoe was blue, but the inside of my shoe was like a different color. So when you see the straps, depending on which side of the strap you see, the color and the value is going to change pretty significantly. So I was trying to show some of those twists and curves happening, and also trying to, you know, emphasize that this round part here was round. So, you know, when things turn in and move away from the light, they're going to get darker, you know, or there may even be like a little bit of a highlight here, or, you know, like this top piece here is casting a shadow down onto this. So the blue is a lot darker here, and then it has kind of a little bit of a highlight here on the front. So I was trying to show some of those different shadows by shading with my marker. And I really want to emphasize to y'all that when I look at this up close, okay, I really have, and this is why we're calling it a multi-line drawing, is I have a yellow shoe underneath a red shoe, underneath a blue shoe. Okay, I have 3 different line drawings on top of each other. And at no point did I ever say that just because I drew the line here originally in yellow, that I had to keep the line here in yellow. Just like I originally drew the strap here in red and then realized it was wrong and moved it and put it over there. Okay. And in the end, what we're looking for is almost a little bit like an electric vibrancy, like the shoe is moving. You know, think about if you were to watch, you know, like an animation scene, you were to see a person here, then here, then here, then here. 3 drawings layered on top of each other, although the darkest drawing is technically the one that we're going to see first, or that's going to dominate, because deeper colors, that's what happens. Your eye sees them and they pop out first, okay? But those other drawings are still there. They don't disappear. And we get this multi-dimensional layered drawing. It's not this clean, pretty, and I don't even want to say this is pretty because it's not, okay? But it's not this clean outlined drawing, you know, that looks like this. And I know that's not what the shoe looks like, but y'all see what I'm saying, okay? This drawing has a little bit of like a sense of life to it because I have so many different marks and so many different layers. So this is your task for day number 1 of our I'm going to write that down here, multi-line drawing. Okay, unit. Ooh, man, my finger smeared that everywhere, but that's okay. Our multi-line drawing unit. So we're going to be doing this every day with different objects. And every day I'm going to be changing it up a little bit. Okay, but we're going to be doing this every day for the next 4 days, starting today. Good luck, guys. And obviously you will be turning this in, so don't think that you can just not do it. Shouldn't have to say that, but you know. All right, guys. Good luck, and I can't wait to see what y'all do.